We do not rise to the level of our goals. We fall to the level of our systems. Let me tell you something that took me way too long to figure out. Every time I failed at building a habit, waking up early, going to the gym, staying consistent with anything, I told myself the same thing. I just need more discipline. And then I try harder. Why knuckle my way through a week? Maybe two. And then crash. And feel worse about myself than before I even started. And I kept thinking the problem was me. That I was weak. That I lacked something other people just naturally had. But here's what nobody told me, and what I want to tell you right now, before we go any further. Discipline is not a personality trait. It is not something you are born with. And trying harder is not the answer. In fact, the people you think are the most disciplined in the world, they're not white-knuckling their way through every day. They're doing something completely different. And today, I'm going to show you exactly what that is, backed by real psychology and neuroscience. Because once you understand how discipline actually works in the brain, everything changes. Stay with me. This one's going to shift something for you. Let's start by destroying the biggest lie in the entire self-improvement space. The lie is this: disciplined people have more willpower than you. And we've all bought into it. We see someone waking up at 5 a.m. every day, running 10 miles, eating clean, building their business, and we think they must have something I don't. But here's what the research actually shows. Stanford psychologist Kelly McGonigal, who has spent her career studying self-control, found that people who appear the most disciplined are actually using the least willpower. Not the most, the least. Because willpower, as it turns out, is the most unreliable tool you have. Here's why. Your brain has a region called the prefrontal cortex. This is your rational, goal-focused, long-term thinking brain. It's the part that says skip the dessert, go to the gym, finish the work. But the prefrontal cortex has a massive weakness. It gets tired. Neuroscientists call this decision fatigue. Every single decision you make throughout the day, what to eat, what to wear, how to respond to that email, whether to take that call, every single one of those draws from the same cognitive resource pool. And by evening, that pool is almost empty. This is why you eat well all day and then raid the fridge at 10 p.m. This is why you're productive in the morning and completely useless by 4 p.m. This is why you keep every commitment at the start of the week and blow them all by Thursday. It's not weakness. It's biology. Your brain's executive function literally degrades as the day goes on, and your ability to resist temptation degrades with it. So if willpower is a depleting resource, and the most disciplined people in the world aren't relying on it, what are they actually doing? Here's the real definition of self-discipline that psychology actually supports. Discipline is not about forcing yourself to do hard things. It is about designing your life so that hard things become automatic. Read that again. The goal is not to be someone who battles their impulses every single day through sheer mental toughness. The goal is to build a life where the battle barely happens. Think about it this way. If there's no junk food in your house, you don't need willpower to avoid eating it. If your gym shoes are next to your bed when you wake up, the barrier to working out almost disappears. If your phone is in another room when you're trying to work, the temptation to scroll doesn't even register. This is what researchers call environment design, and it is one of the most powerful, most underrated tools in behavioral science. Your behavior is not primarily driven by your intentions. It's driven by your environment, the cues around you, the friction involved in doing or not doing something. The default your day is built on. These shape your actions far more than your motivation ever will. David Eagleman, a neuroscientist at Stanford, puts it simply: most of our behavior is on autopilot. The brain automates familiar decisions to conserve energy, which means if you set up the right autopilots, the right defaults, the right environment, discipline stops being something you have to summon. It becomes something that just happens. The people you admire for their discipline didn't get there by wanting it more than you. They got there by making it easier to do the right thing than the wrong thing. And here's what that means for you practically. Stop asking yourself, how do I get more motivation? And start asking, how do I remove the friction between me and what I want to do? That shift alone is worth more than every motivational video you've ever watched. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Because environment design will take you far. But there's something underneath all of it that determines whether any of this actually sticks. And it comes down to one question. Who do you think you are? Not in a philosophical sense. I mean literally. What is the story you tell yourself about yourself? Because your brain is always trying to act consistent with your identity, with the person you believe you are. And if there's a mismatch between your actions and your self-image, one of them is going to lose. And most of the time, it's your actions. Here's what I mean. If you say, I'm trying to get fit, you're a struggling person trying to change behavior. Every workout is a battle against who you currently are. But if you say, I'm someone who takes care of their body, now every workout is just proof of who you already are. That's not just positive thinking. That's neuroscience. When your identity includes a behavior, your brain experiences psychological discomfort called cognitive dissonance when you don't follow through. Skipping the gym doesn't just feel lazy. It feels wrong, out of character, like a violation of who you are. And here's the thing. Identity isn't something you have. It's something you build, one decision at a time. James Clear calls this casting votes. Every time you follow through on something, no matter how small, you cast a vote for the kind of person you're becoming. Wake up when the alarm goes off, one vote. Go for the walk when you don't feel like it, one vote. Close the app instead of scrolling, one vote. None of these feel significant in the moment, but they add up. And slowly, quietly, you start to become someone who does these things. Not because you force yourself, because it's who you are. The most disciplined people in the world aren't fighting their identity. They've built one that works for them. The question for you is, what identity are you building, one decision at a time? Now, I want to talk about something that almost nobody in this space is honest about. Because we talk about habits, systems, environment design, and that's all real and important. But underneath all of it, there's an emotional component to discipline that gets completely ignored. And it's this: most people avoid discipline not because they're lazy, but because the thing they need to do is emotionally uncomfortable. Think about the workout you keep skipping. Is it really because you don't have 30 minutes? Or is it because walking into that gym makes you feel self-conscious, exposed, like you don't belong there yet? Think about the business you keep not starting. Is it really the timing? Or is it because starting means risking failure in front of people, and that terror is louder than any alarm clock? Think about the difficult conversation you keep postponing. Is it really that you forgot? Or does the thought of it make your stomach drop? This is what psychologists call avoidance behavior, and it is the hidden engine behind almost every discipline failure. When a task is connected to fear, shame, or discomfort, your brain will find 1,000 logical-sounding reasons to avoid it. Procrastination isn't laziness. It's emotional self-protection dressed up in excuses. And here's why this matters practically. If you don't address the emotional weight attached to something, no system in the world will make you do it consistently. You can optimize your environment, design your morning routine, read every productivity book, and still avoid the one thing that actually matters. The fix isn't simple, but it starts with honesty. Ask yourself, what am I actually avoiding and why? What is the real feeling I'm trying to not feel? Name it. Write it down. Because the moment you see your avoidance for what it is, protection, not laziness, something shifts. You stop judging yourself, and you start actually moving. Okay, so here is how you actually build self-discipline. Not the version self-help sells, but the version that holds up under real life. First, shrink the start. The biggest reason people don't build discipline is that they set the bar too high from day one. They go from nothing to an hour at the gym, a cold shower, a 5 a.m. wake up, and a full meal prep, all in week one. And when life happens and they miss one thing, the whole structure collapses. Here's what neuroscience says instead. Start so small it feels almost stupid. 2 minutes of reading, 1 push-up, a 5-minute walk. Not because these things change your body or your business, but because every time you do them, you prove to your brain that you are someone who does this. You build the identity. You cast the votes. The goal in the beginning is not results. The goal is proof. Proof that you show up. Proof that you can trust yourself. Once that proof exists, expanding is natural. But trying to expand before the foundation is built is why most people fail. Second, design friction out of your environment. Make the good behavior easier than the bad behavior. Every single time. Want to read more? Put a book on your pillow. Want to eat better? Prep the food before you're hungry. Want to stop scrolling? Delete the apps. Not mute them. Delete them. The inconvenience of reinstalling an app has saved more productive hours than any amount of willpower. This sounds almost embarrassingly simple. That's the point. Your brain takes the path of least resistance every time. Your job is to make the right path the easy one. Third, protect your peak hours. Remember the prefrontal cortex, your disciplined brain, and how it depletes throughout the day. Your most important task goes in the first slot of your day, not after emails, not after meetings. First, because your willpower, your focus, your ability to resist distraction, all of it is at its highest in the morning before the day has taken anything from you. Every hour you wait is an hour of cognitive resource spent on other things. By afternoon, you're working with what's left. Schedule your hardest thing first. Every day, non negociable. Fourth, build a recovery system, not a punishment system. This one is critical and almost nobody talks about it. When you break your streak, and you will because you're human, what you do next determines everything. Most people treat a missed day as evidence that they can't do it. They spiral. They quit. They wait for Monday or the new month or the new year to try again. But research on habit formation shows that missing once has almost no impact on long-term outcomes. It's missing twice in a row that breaks the pattern. The rule is simple. Never miss twice. 1 missed day is a bad day. 2 missed days is the start of a new habit, the wrong one. So when you slip, and you will, your only job is to show up the next day. Even badly. Even for 5 minutes. Just show up. Discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about coming back faster every time you fall. Here's what I want you to walk away with today. Self-discipline is not a superpower that some people have and others don't. It is a skill. And like every skill, it is built through the right systems, the right environment, and most importantly, the right story about who you are. You don't need to be a different person. You don't need to want more. You don't need some extreme transformation. You just need to make it slightly easier to do the right thing. Build the identity one small decision at a time. Protect your energy. And when you fall, come back. That's it. That's the whole psychology of self-discipline. If this video gave you something real today, share it with someone who's been stuck in the "I need more motivation" trap. Because they need to hear this more than they need another pep talk. Subscribe if you want more content like this, real, research-backed stuff that actually changes how you think. This is exactly what this channel is for. I'll see you in the next one.